You'll notice on the right hand side on the skyline is 3 cottages, and they are 3 of the original miners' cottages. It looks like 4, but the end one has been extended in the 1980s with a 2-storey extension. Now we're going to go around to the left. We'll see those when we pass back on our loop round. Why they are so isolated is because the original route of the incline was to terminate at this point, and they built those cottages first of all. But when the engineer, the second engineer was appointed, he looked at the route and said he could improve the route and moved it further to the east, which meant that those cottages were always left on the road.
You can just pick out steep on them in the far distance.
Now we want to pull into the incline, which is just here on the left-hand side, roughly where that car is now, in this entrance.
This is near the top of the incline, the winding house. And I have covered this on video before, so I won't be doing so today. The top of the incline is actually above the minibus here. And there used to be a bridge across here, and the railway used to carry on over there.
What was known as the Tin Church, or the Anglican schoolhouse, that was sited in this square. Just there. So this picture is taken looking from that direction, looking back here, with the incline mound behind. And then you had the brake house, which was situated up at the top of the incline. Opened in 1861, and on the opening day for the village, there were some 50 children attended this school. It came as a typical mission church, as a flat pack kit, timber frame, covered in corrugated iron, and it remained here until the closure of the mines in 1883. After that time it was dismantled, taken down to Watchet, and it was re-erected in West Street, where we originally came down into Watchet, known as St Saviour's Church, and then dismantled yet again, and then ended its last days at the Watchet paper mill. And there is a contemporary photograph in about 1911 showing it at Watchet at the paper mill, because there was a big fire at that particular time. Whether it finished its days either in the fire or whether it was just due to decay, but it was dismantled. But the bell in that little bell tower survives, and that is in the Watchet Museum. If you take a visit to the Watchet Museum, you can see that original bell, and they do have a photograph of it in its place.
You can actually see the steps coming up there.
Yeah, going up through the side there. But you have what was known as the Brown's Temperance Hotel built there, but that really became miners' accommodation, and behind it was then another terrace called Station Terrace, again for housing. And then to the left of it is Brick Row, which was a terrace of cottages that were in that field, and again they've all been dismantled. And then on this side of the road, again, there was another terrace of cottages called Incline cottages. In total, you had something, when the village was in operation, about 60 cottages up here. Okay, now again, it's got that little guidebook. If you look in that guidebook, you'll see some contemporary photographs. Here's got the true photograph of the store building, which I'll say is shown in that artist's impression. But that was in the 1907 period. And this is the Coombe Row station, sorry, not Coombe Row, Brenton Hill station, with all the miners outside, which is that building, unfortunately, that's just behind those trees. We don't have access to.
It's actually still standing.
Still standing. It's occupied as it's occupied as a bungalow. I do have a picture of it because.
Thank you. No people live in that as an ordinary house.
Yes. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, I took that picture in I think 2004.
We're actually in the remains of this building here,
Two up, two down cottage, and that was for the
with a railway going across the top.
the winding equipment. And you can see it's still got
And the top of the incline on the right.
Then on the floor here, you'll see, and this is the actual where the winding drums was positioned, 1907, when the syndicate came along to reopen the Colton line, and they didn't need.
This little corner was a coal chute to drive the steam engine that was located in here at one stage.
They went across to the Raleghs Cross mine.
Coal came up the incline and was tipped down there.
There's a lot more structures, and we actually do a guided walk all the way down the incline, but that's why I'd rather not say too much today, in effect.
There's a lot more trees on it now than there was then.
Yeah. Again, here's the Coombe Row station, similar pattern, but that's now completely gone. There's nothing left of that at all.
Because they had one runaway, didn't they? Or one or two runaways.
There was a there was an
watch it, didn't it?
Yeah, there's two runaways. I mean, but there's that little loco, say, was on the top here, and because it only weighs about 13 tons loaded, and it used to bring a train of wagons along, but they could only take one at a time. And there was an incident where two trucks were brought along, and he had gone just that too far, and the first one had gone over the brow,
Just started the momentum.
and it started to pull the locomotive down the incline, and the engine driver, did like most engine drivers did. He jumped off. And it went down, but because these the things would fail the pulley underneath, it derailed for him, luckily, but it still cut through apparently about 60 sleepers on its way down. How they retrieved it, we don't know.
Well, they've got a winding engine here.
Captain's house for Morgan's in 1858, and that was which is still a good grand house, the main dwelling. And then on our right, well, you won't see it until we've gone by. Oh no, you can just see it. No, if you look through, you'll see the iron bucket I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, and all the water coming out is the water coming out of the air shaft. Now the air shaft is about 20 yards further back on the hill. But that's that iron bucket that was in that photograph in the Watchet station.
What the water's pouring into?
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Bucket around the corner.
Yeah. You'll see the iron bucket.
Oh, just around the corner. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a big one.
Yes. It's about 4 foot diameter.
Right. Just around the corner of the hedge.
Yeah, it's just there.
And then just by the roadside, you'll see the remnants of Beulah Cottages, which were a row of cottages along here, which has only now got just the foundations of them standing. And that's the terrace.
You must have paid them a bit to take the hedge out. They've only just done that.
Only just done it, yeah.
But they've left the gooseberry bush.
Yeah, good.
There's a gooseberry bush
There's a
there.
gooseberry bush, yeah.
Was part of the cottage garden.
Oh, right.
It still has the most lovely fruit.
Right, we'll go through to Raleghs Cross now. back to the chapel.
Yeah, after the coffee break, we're going to go on to Beulah Chapel, the miners' chapel. But like as in the Winding House, I've been there and recorded Phil's talk about it, so I won't be recording that today. The mine workings that are left near Raleghs Cross Inn, all on private property, and we're not able to go in and see those now. But Phil says there isn't a great deal you could see if you did get in there. But those two big beech trees are very useful to serve as a guide to an old photograph in the guidebook. And you can see the little narrow gauge railway line going right across in front of them. When that part of those mines were active. The railway incline is in that very thick clump of trees over there in the distance.
Right here, there's a bit of a pull-in right opposite the stile. There's a bit of a gateway there. You should be able to just about pull in off the road. I don't think it's that soft. Runs across there. There's a burrow where the trees are. Yeah. Look, everybody's here, basically.
You studied the area well then.
Right, we're right on the main mine of the Raleghs Cross, or originally called the Tone Mine. Started early on by a fellow called Ebenezer Rogers. He came here after 1851, and shortly after that date, in about 1853, he partnered with Thomas Brown from the Ebervale Company and set up the Brendan Hills Mining Company. But it was a very, very small affair. They sunk a couple of shafts down, probably across to the eastern side of here, and then later on another pit was put in. Again, they'd seen the evidence of the ancient Britons where they'd excavated near the surface, and therefore they knew the general line of where the iron ore would occur, but what they didn't know is the depth of it, how wide it was, or and the extent. And it's like a lot of things, is that the landowners, which have been part of the Trevelyan estate, and as I say, we've got various landowners. We've got Trevelyans, the Earl of Carnarvon. You also had the Carew family, and as a consequence, they didn't put their money into it. All they wanted is other people to invest, do all the exploration, take all the risk. But what they had was a royalty for every ton of ore that was produced. So it may be a shilling a ton for good quality hematite and about 8p a ton for the poorer quality iron ore. And in consequence, they were very keen that these people should produce as much tonnage as they could because they would get the royalties. However, there was also a clause written into the in effect the right-of-way for transport, which was the railway, which, as I had been negotiated as a separate entity, is that once they had raised a certain tonnage of ore, there was a requirement the railway had to be built and completed within 5 years, and it had to provide the number of stations en route so that the landowners could use it at their own discretion. However, so therefore it was very much dependent upon how much ore they could find. And whilst they had initially thought they were going to, or Thomas Brown had promised the Everbell Company he was going to produce something like 50,000 tonnes of ore, he had no idea whether they could actually do so.